Hello and welcome to New Old Glass, a little show where I take a look at some of the new old glass I bought. Or as my impulse controls calls it, what's that one? This is the Carl Zeiss Jena Tessar 50mm f2.8. Now some of you might think this is my first Carl Zeiss lens, but it's actually my third. I'm fortunate to own two other lenses in the Carl Zeiss Jena lineup, the 50mm f2.8 Tessar and the Carl Zeiss Jena Tessar 135mm f4, both in the exact amount. So why did I buy this one? Originally on the site where I buy most of my lenses, there was a camera with the Carl Zeiss lens on it for sale. But I didn't have the money at the time. Fortunately for me, the camera and the lens later went on auction without the reserve, and I was able to scoop up both for quite cheap. Onto the lens itself. This version was introduced around 1966 and came in the Icarex mount and the M42 mount. My copy, as you can see, is in the M42 mount. It has the classic Tessar optical design, 4 elements in 3 groups, and has 5 aperture blades. The lens has a solid all-metal construction, which I really like, and the aperturing itself is nice and smooth. Now, I wasn't sure where to drop this in, but I think right before the photos is the perfect spot. At the time of this review, I don't know how to get the lens to stop down. When I was out taking photos, I thought the aperture was working. I was happily stopping down going, wow, it has great bokeh even stop down. It was only during the stop down test I realized something was up. Holding the aperture lever down doesn't engage the blades, and pushing in the M42 pin at the back does, well, even less. A quick Google during the writing of the script shows me that there's a pretty common problem with this version of the lens. I suspect I might need to try and repair it, but considering my history with that, I'm a bit reluctant. So for now, this lens is stuck at f2.8. Onto the photos and the bokeh, all taken at f2.8 obviously. The lens loves to make bubbles in the background, especially when close focusing. And considering it was stuck wide open, the photos are still pretty damn sharp. Bokeh wise, I love how it renders the background with a lot of specular highlights. You will get a ton of those bubble bokeh balls. Now, depending on your taste, you'll either hate this or love it. For me, I really like the character and the bubbles you get with these older lenses. But you can also get some nice smooth bokeh in the background without too much movement or highlights. So the lens is able to do both nice and smooth bokeh and wild crazy bubble bokeh, all depending on the background. Flaring wise, I took photos in bright sunlight and I didn't see much flaring, if any. I think this is probably due to the front optical element being so recessed, it acts like a built-in lens hood. The color rendering of the lens is pretty good in my opinion. I know with another lens I tested on the same day, the reds came out almost pinkish on my Canon, but on the Zeiss they look pretty good and natural. As for stop-down performance, well, there is none. The aperture blades are stuck, but I suspect it would have performed pretty well. It feels good on the camera due to its lightweight. It's very easy walk-around lens. Something I didn't mention earlier is that you can focus incredibly close with the lens. I was really surprised. The close focus distance is, well, very close. A good example is the rose I took a picture of. I stood at my usual distance with these types of lenses, and then I realized I could get much, much closer. So in the end, was it worth to buy the Carl Zeiss Jena Tessar 15mm f2.8? I would say yes. Even though it's not one of the more sought after Carl Zeiss lenses, they are still pretty desirable. Well, to me anyway. And even if the aperture doesn't work, I think it has a nice place in my collection. As to who I would recommend it to, I don't know. With a non-functioning aperture, it's difficult to say, but I love the bokeh and I love the rendering you get with this lens. How it performs top-down, I have no idea. So that was the Carl Zeiss Jena Tessar 50mm f2.8. Quite the mouthful. A vintage lens with vintage problems. Now I got a question for you. How do you feel about the Carl Zeiss Jena series of lenses? Do you like them, or do you prefer a different brand of vintage lenses? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.